chose those. There's a reason. We'll get into that. What I will say is this video is not about price targets. If you're looking for that, you can go watch one of my other videos about how to trade and learn about that. And or about trading in general. Learn about that if you are curious about crypto or deep into it already. This video is more for you in terms of what are the characteristics and qualities, advantages and disadvantages of these four top type coins. And you could say to me, well, Litecoin doesn't really belong in the same group as those others because it's just a clone of Bitcoin and it's not even in the top 10 or whatever. Yeah, you could say that. If you hold your horses, you'll see why I actually chose this on purpose. And you can say, well, Ethereum is, whatever characteristic you want to say about it, it doesn't belong in this group either, or Solana doesn't belong. There's a reason I chose all four of these. So without much ado about nothing, let's get right into it, shall we? So Bitcoin, as you know, 21 million max cap, and most of it's mined already. What remains to be mined won't even make up for a third of what's already missing, and most of it's already held in the hands of people who have 100 or more Bitcoins in their wallet, and a paltry 13,500 people on the planet own more than 91% of all the Bitcoin that there can ever be, which basically means it's held by the very, very, very tiniest number of people who are already super wealthy and who really don't need additional money, right? They're fine. They're super wealthy. Good for them. And that means only 9% of it, if that, can ever be possibly held by non-whales. But the reality is, guess what's going to happen to most of that 9%? It's going to be gobbled up by the whales who have all the money, especially as the price continues to rise and the mining continues to dwindle every 4 years to half the rate of the previous 4 years, right? So the remaining million Bitcoin that are left to be mined, there's really not, not much of a chance that the average person is going to buy any of those. And of the total supply, there's only 3% in the hands of retail traders. But nevertheless, the technology is decentralized, even though the currency is not. The currency is held, like I said, by a very, very, very tiny group of people. Even if you say, well, there's Satoshis and there's plenty of those to go around. Not really plenty, but let's say there's plenty for the sake of argument. It's still not a very distributed currency. If you just do a distribution map, you'll see that the bulk of it is all held by the 0.0000001% of wealthy people on the planet. So it's not distributed, right? It's just breadcrumbs all over the planet. That's all it is. But it does have these other wonderful qualities. Uncensorable, immutable, as they call it. Peer-to-peer, scalable in the sense if you can divide it, right? It's divisible. So it's also scalable in terms of the nodes. You can keep adding nodes to the network and growing the network in terms of security and reliance. It has all these great, fantastic qualities that let you transact values as well as energy or property or whatever, however you want to see it, right? See it as a commodity or a currency, cash, electronic cash, right? It's a fantastic asset in many ways. There's a reason that it's the top gorilla of cryptocurrency, and it's not just because it was the first mover. Right? If you know anything about technology, you'll know that first movers don't always have the advantage. Right? They have an advantage, the first mover advantage, but unless it is seen through, that advantage quickly fizzles, right? I mean, look what happened to Friendster, right? The first quote unquote big social network. And it wasn't even the first social network, but let's just say it was the first big one. Okay. It's gone, right? What happened to MySpace? Arguably the first, massively popular social network that had hundreds of millions of users. It's gone. It's basically, I don't even know I think it still exists, but I don't even know. It did exist for a while. Last time I looked, it was still there. But who uses it? It's like a ghost town, right? Okay, maybe people still put things there just to have distribution of assets across the internet. But when was the last time you actually went to MySpace to do anything, right? Unless a friend sent you a link and you looked at something that happened to be there, or you searched for something and it happened to be on that site for some reason. It's a ghost town. They used to have first mover advantage, then Facebook came along and took it from them. Right? But arguably, again, Facebook, MySpace took first mover advantage from Friendster, right? And really, Friendster took it from DeviantArt, and DeviantArt actually took social media first mover advantage away from my own social network that I had created in the late 90s. Okay, so arguably, first mover advantage does not necessarily give an advantage to anyone, but it can as long as it's preserved. Now, one of the reasons that Bitcoin's first mover advantage survives is not just because it was the first mover. Right? It's because of its growing distribution. Yes, of course, that's what always keeps first mover advantage powerful. But it's because there is no particular owner. There is no management team that runs it, directly. There isn't an office you can go to complain about Bitcoin. Okay. Great. So that gives it that quality. Litecoin, by contrast, was created by a known person. But guess what? That known person dumped his bags at the all-time highs. And he told everybody he was going to do it. And people were like, oh, what are you talking about? This, he's joking, whatever. Or he's a fool, this and that. No, he told people I'm dumping it because I think it's a high price for the time that he sold them. Right? Charlie Lee. We know who he is. He's a human being. He's not an AI bot, right? He's a real person. He made Litecoin, which is a fork of Bitcoin, created to be a test bed for Bitcoin code. And it only has 4 times the max supply of Bitcoin. It has all the other same quality. Everything else is pretty much identical to Bitcoin. Right? Same code base, same qualities of divisibility, portability. You can carry it with you. It's mobile, right? It's uncensorable. It has a shared public ledger. The whole deal. Every little bit. It's the same code, so it's the same thing. It has a different logo. Okay, and it has 4 times the amount of supply. Max cap, right? So 84 million Litecoin max cap as opposed to 21 million Bitcoin max cap. So it's rare, scarce, and all that. It's mined in the same way, by miners who have proof of work miners. Right? And most people who mine one mine the other. You'll hardly find a Bitcoin miner, a serious Bitcoin miner with a serious Bitcoin mining operation that doesn't also mine Litecoin. Because why wouldn't they? The thing costs 1/1000th of the price of a Bitcoin, and yet there's only 4 times more of them. It doesn't make any sense, right? It's exact same code, exact same qualities, and you get 1,000 of them for the price of a Bitcoin. So if you're a miner, Litecoin's a gold mine, right? Because you realize if the price of Litecoin goes up 10x, right, it's still going to be 100 Litecoin for every Bitcoin. It's still going to be massively overvalued. If it goes up 100x, it's still going to be 10 Litecoin. I'm talking about if it goes up 100x compared to the Bitcoin price, right? If it goes up to where you can get 10 Litecoin per Bitcoin, that's still going to be somewhat overvalued, right? But even at 100, if Litecoin were to jump from 1/1000th of a Bitcoin to 1/100th of a Bitcoin, right? That's already a 10x value, okay? And it should probably be way higher than that, right? Is it possible that like if Bitcoin reaches a price of millions of dollars at some point in the future, right? Or even if it just gets to 100K, let's just say, hell, let's say it stays where it is now, 60K forever. Okay? Never goes up or down. It just stays at 60K forever. You don't think at some point people are going to realize, wait a minute, there's only 4 times as many Litecoin as there are Bitcoin, and they cost 1/1000th of a Bitcoin, and the price of Bitcoin isn't budging. It's going to stay fixed at 60K, and Litecoin's price keeps changing. Why wouldn't I buy more Litecoin at that point, right? Because certainly it could at least then go up to 15K per price, per Litecoin, and in some weird world where, you know, math matters and things like, oh, I don't know, supply matters, right? If you have 4x of one thing and you have 1x of the other thing, the thing that you have 1x of has a high price. The thing that you have 4x of, in theory, if it's the identical thing, it just has a different name brand on it, should cost not more than a quarter, you know, should cost around a quarter as much as the thing you have 1x of, right? In theory, especially if it's a thing that has a demand and that there's a limited supply of, and that it can be used as a fungible device, you know, for all kinds of different transactions, just like the thing that you have 1x of, right? In other words, if I give you $1, or if I give you, forget $1, if I give you a USC from Coinbase and I give you a USDT from Tether, right? They should be worth the same thing because they're both tied to the dollar, right? And you can do the same thing with them practically. You can swap them back and forth for different cryptos. You can cash them out, whatever, right? But if you if I give you something that's worth a virtual dollar, like a USDT or a USDC, and then I give you something like, I don't know, a virtual shekel that's worth, you know, a little bit less than 4 times as much. Let's just say 4 for round numbers, right? Virtual shekel should be worth 4 times as much. I mean, it should be worth a quarter of the price of a virtual dollar, just like a real shekel is about a quarter of the price, you know, a quarter of the value of a real dollar, right? Same thing. It's not complicated math. So Litecoin has all these great qualities, and it's one of the reasons it can go up significantly in value, in my opinion, compared to Bitcoin. Solana and Ethereum. Well, Ethereum has some of the wonderful qualities, in theory, from its birth, from its creation by Vitalik, right? Vitalik Buterin invented Ethereum to be the next computer of the world, which is such an arrogant thing, such a conceited thing. But he thought that basically Ethereum would basically be like the computer for everything. It's so unbelievably arrogant whenever people have these ideas. And that my thing is going to be the only thing that the whole world runs. Man, that is just so conceited. It's unbelievable. Right? To deny the fact that there's human competition, even for Bitcoin, right? For people who think, oh, there's only going to be Bitcoin in the future. No, there isn't. There will always be competition. If you don't understand that, you don't understand the nature of human beings. Right? That's one of our leading trademark qualities and characteristics as a species, is we are continually competing, right? To be out, you know, to outperform, or, you know, to be the best or whatever, or to be the next best thing, or to be, you know, whatever it is, the next it thing. There will never be a moment in human history, as long as humans are humans, and as long as there's more than 3 of us, that will say, oh, that's it, that's all we need. We don't need to make anything better. No. Human nature drives competition. That's why the world is the way it is, and we don't all live in caves, right? So Ethereum has a lot of good qualities in concept. However, in practice, it's very poorly executed. It's a big mishmash. And it's, in many ways, in my opinion, it's a scam. What do I mean by it's a scam? I mean the gas fees scheme. I consider that to be a scam. And the reason I say that is because I consider that the gas fees only further the interests of significant holders and stakeholders, right? They're only in the interests, they used to be of miners, but now nobody's mining it. Now they're just stakers. Only people who stake large bags benefit from gas fees on Ethereum. And I mean, they have incredibly high gas fees, right? There are people paying hundreds, if not thousands of dollars for relatively small transactions. It can be that the gas fee is several times the price of the actual value of the transaction, right? That is insane. But nevertheless, Ethereum is the quote unquote blue chip for, is the blue chip blockchain for things like NFTs, at least for now, right? But is that going to be enough to sustain it as a worthy cryptocurrency and blockchain for the future, and to attempt to be the everything computer? Well, in my opinion, no. And you can already see, given the incredibly slow development of Ethereum, and unlike Cardano, the incredibly slow development of Ethereum, where they're constantly giving these kind of big announcement deadlines and then they fail to deliver. And then when they do deliver something, it's always, oh, well, it was never going to solve this other bigger problem anyway, like the gas scheme or the gas scam. So, yeah, in my opinion, Ethereum is a very problematic coin. I realize that there's more developers on Ethereum than any other chain and blah, blah, blah. The only reason that that's the case is because the single largest employers of developers are large banks and large companies, large government institutions, etc. Right? So they have all the money, so they don't care if they spend tons of money hiring developers to program this crap. And you also have to remember that Ethereum, with its ERC20 innovation, allowed everybody and their mother to push a few buttons and instantly create a clone of an Ethereum coin, right? In terms of the code base. And the ERC20 token is basically just a baby Ethereum copy running something basically that's an Ethereum token. Okay, so all these thousands of coins and millions of coins that were created with ERC20, most of them are just garbage. Most of them are already dead by now, but even the thousands that still continue to be things, they're basically Ethereum, right? And they're not doing anything innovative in most cases. They're just little clones of Ethereum trying to be land grabs and trying to be money grabs. And most of them have failed. But you have tons and tons of developers who built these things. And they got hired to do these things, even though it was just a matter of pushing a few buttons in most cases, and you already had yourself a new coin. So that's why Ethereum has a lot of developers, but that doesn't make it the most popular network, really. Oh, but it has more transactions. Yeah. Okay, now Bitcoin is still the king. Okay. But Bitcoin only has 7 transactions per second. That's nice. You can say that until the cows come home. That Bitcoin only has 7 transactions per second. It's still the king in terms of not just price, but name brand recognition and all kinds of other important qualities that a coin has. And then there's Solana. And I will just say this about Solana, right? Just because it's venture capital backed doesn't actually mean it's garbage. And I know there's a lot of people who don't like it because it's venture capital backed, but it does not mean it's a garbage coin. That just means that it has a different structure. Now, are there issues that I don't like about Solana? Absolutely. Is it a great coin in the sense of, is it like, Bitcoin decentralization in terms of technology? No. Has it had more mistakes and errors with server downtime and blockchain downtime than other cryptos. Yeah, it's had a bunch of those, but you could also say that those are growing pains, and it does have a lot of use case, and it's not just memes, meme coins, NFTs, things like that. And the fact that it is basically centrally controlled also does not make it garbage. A lot of centrally controlled things are still very powerful in the world and are still very popular. Look at Microsoft software, look at Apple software. Those things are still very popular, whether you are a fan of them or not. Does Solana have a bright future? In theory, yeah, it could. It really could. What do I say that based on? Well, there's a lot about the technology behind Solana that makes it possible that we'll see Solana hit some growth numbers that we've not seen anything close to until now. And that will just come in time. And we will see more and more people developing for it, just as there have been for Ethereum or Litecoin or Bitcoin over time. Do I think basically it has a bright future? Yeah, I do. I wouldn't go to sleep thinking it's the only coin that there's going to be, and that it's the be all and end all of all coins. Absolutely not. But it can certainly be a very strong project in years to come, especially if the metrics of it stay reasonably within reality, because part of the problem is the inflation rate, and that is arguably a very significant problem with it. But it has a lot of capabilities that arguably some other coins don't have, in terms of speed, right? In terms of what in theory can be done with it. So yeah, there's my quick 4 coin review for you about what I think, which of these are, what qualities these have, plus or minus. I hope that's useful. Happy cryptoing. See ya.